Hello. One thing that most of us that are world travelers can say is that there are so many steps in ancient villages and towns. There are no elevators. So the theme of this post is watch your step. And there are a lot of famous steps all over the world. We start out in Rome, Italy. The Spanish Steps are one of my favorite. They are just so beautiful. It's one of the most iconic sites in Rome. And it's very, very old. The construction began in 1726. Now that's a long time ago. The stairs begin at the Piazza de Spagna and lead up to Trinità de' Monti, a beautiful church overlooking the centuries-old steps. The picture I took there was one that's special to me because this is my granddaughter standing on those exact steps. But the Spanish Steps are in the central part of Old Rome, and on every trip there, we always walk up and down that beautiful staircase. Okay, now we're going to travel to a far-off distant land. This is Sri Lanka, an island off of the coast, the east coast of India. Talk about some steep steps. There are 1,200 in all, a demanding ascent up to see Lion's Rock. Believe me when I say the climb gets harder and harder as you get higher and higher, but it's definitely worth the trek. This used to be the capital city with its royal palace lived in by a king. Once the king died, it became a Buddhist monastery until the 14th century. It is known as one of the best preserved examples of ancient urban living. Today, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Look at these gigantic feet that welcome you to start your climb way up to the top of this gigantic rock. But that was a very, very interesting place. A capital city built on top of a rock centuries ago. Absolutely fascinating. No wonder it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Our next stop is in South America. This is an interesting set of staircase that leads down to a canyon in Banos, Ecuador. This is such a dramatic picture, but I am sure that when you climb down those steps, you get an absolutely fantastic view of the area all around you. But it's a beautiful set of stairs cut out of a sheer side of rock. Now we're off to Abhanari, India. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. The Chand Baori. It's a step well. Look at all those steps. Isn't that amazing? This large step well was built by an Indian king in the 9th century A.D. Built 100 feet into the ground, below the ground, I should say, it is famous for being one of the largest step wells in the world. Not only that, but it is also one of the most beautiful. Don't you think that's lovely? Look at that design. Oh my goodness, that must have been something to build. Not only that, but it is also, I think, fascinating to look at. And it even had a good purpose. This is a 4-sided well with 3,500 steps in this 13-story high structure. But the great thing about it was this ancient creation, this ancient structure, provided year-round access to water for the surrounding population. And that was a good reason to have something built like this. But it's a beauty if you ask me. Next, we travel to South America. These are the Graffiti steps in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Here I am sitting on steps in the Villa Maddalena district, known as the graffiti capital of the world. What a sight to see artistic graffiti literally on every single surface for blocks and blocks in this particular district. But the street art was absolutely fascinating and interesting and amazing. But I really enjoyed sitting on these very colorful graffiti painted steps. Haven't seen anything like that anywhere else in the world, have you? But anyway, if you ever get a chance to be in Sao Paulo, you should definitely visit the Villa Maddalena district. It's really an eye-popping sight, and that's an understatement. Well, I guess you'd put this in the category of the most brightly colored steps anywhere on planet Earth. Batu Cave near Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, is an amazing depiction of the colors of the rainbow. The Batu Caves are both a natural and man-made wonder. Inside this very holy Hindu monument, perched on the side of a spectacular mountainside, it is filled with religious artifacts of the Hindu faith. To enter this famous caves, one must navigate this flight of stairs, all very colorful and all very pretty, but there are 300 in all. Now that's another set of lots and lots of steps. But it's probably worth it to see the ancient artifacts inside this monument. Next, we come back to the United States, and we head for San Francisco, California, where this set of steps is located. It's called the 16th Avenue Tiled Steps Project. It was designed to be a beautiful mosaic riser between each of the 163 steps. These stairs can be seen at 16th and Moraga Streets in San Francisco, California, the Golden Gates Heights area of the city. This is a dramatic sight, for every single one is just prettier than the next. I felt like I was walking on a work of art. Well, I actually was. And another feeling you get walking up these steps is that you're climbing straight from the ground right up into the sky. And that is sort of a magical feeling. Now here is an interesting rock. This is in Guatape, I guess it's pronounced, Colombia. This gigantic rock is literally in the center of town, known as the El Penol, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, P-E-N-O-L, at 7,000 feet high. This mountain rock dominates the landscape of the town. Now here's another challenging set of steps. There are 700 rickety steps that take you all the way to the top. But I must say the views of the surrounding countryside are nothing short of spectacular from the top of that rock vantage point. Believe it or not, this rock, even though it may look big, it didn't look big enough to me to actually have a restaurant and souvenir shop at the very top, but it does. So that is a gigantic rock in South America. Wow, Mother Nature is something, isn't she? And last but not least, we have the Inca staircase in Machu Picchu, Peru. There is a famous 4-day traditional Inca trail hike. This trek requires navigating some 10,000 steps in all. A portion of it is known as the Stairs of Death, both steep and treacherous, which lead to the top of the Huayna Picchu mountain. But in this picture, look at those steps. Wow, they are steep and very, very narrow. But looking at that picture, the scenery is spectacular. I have never been to Machu Picchu. I wanted to go, but because of the thin air up there, I was told by my doctor that it wouldn't be very good for my lungs that are in sort of a weakened state. So I've never gone. So this gives me a vicarious thrill to look at this picture of these steps, because Machu Picchu is definitely one of the most magical ruins anywhere on planet Earth. So that, my friends, is my venture into watch your step. Watch your steps, I should say, all around the world. Hope you enjoyed it. Now I ask you to come and join my Facebook group, Second Half Travel Adventures, where we take all kinds of interesting, well, I shouldn't say take, we go on all kinds of interesting adventures to fascinating places all over the world. So I hope you'll be among us as we continue our travels. So remember, the only trip you'll regret is the one you don't take.